Many people have probably heard the word Cern, but perhaps not many know what it is, what it does, and why it exists. For those not familiar, CERN is the governing body of people who decide what to do with the LHC, or the Large Hadron Collider, the largest particle collider in the world, as well as other similar machines. So here I'm going to go over some information I wrote about in my 2-volume book set, The Final Cataclysm: Supernatural Signs of the End Times. For those who read those books, this will be a good review, but for those who missed it, I felt it necessary to include the highlights of the information surrounding CERN. Now, while everything found online about the mysteries of CERN cannot be believed, there are still some things we as Christians should know. Before CERN was a laboratory, it was a council whose purpose was to build the laboratory. In 1952, the European Council for Nuclear Research was established by 12 European governments. The acronym CERN originally came from the French Council Européen pour la Recherche Nucléaire. In 1954, after the council was dissolved, the name changed to Organisation Européenne pour la Recherche Nucléaire, which translates to European Organization for Nuclear Research. Now, former director of CERN, Lew Kowarski, stated that the acronym could have changed to OERN, but it was actually Werner Heisenberg, the famous physicist responsible for developing Heisenberg's uncertainty principle, who suggested the acronym should remain as CERN. CERN has had a number of achievements. In 1973, weak neutral currents were discovered, which led to the discovery of the W and Z bosons, the elementary particles responsible for mediating the weak interaction. The discovery of the W and Z bosons was a major breakthrough for what's now known as the Standard Model of Particle Physics. The W and Z bosons are still among the most exciting discoveries to date. In 1995, the first creation of antihydrogen, the antimatter counterpart of hydrogen, occurred in what is known as the PS210 experiment. A normal hydrogen atom is made of an electron and proton, subatomic particles. However, an antihydrogen atom is made of a positron and antiproton, antimatter counterparts to the electron and proton. However, an antihydrogen atom is made of a positron and antiproton, antimatter counterparts to the electron and proton. In 2010, 38 atoms of antihydrogen were isolated. Antihydrogen was then able to be maintained without decaying for 15 minutes in 2011. It's the hope of scientists that by studying antimatter, they might discover the answer to what's known as the baryon asymmetry problem, which basically asks the question of why there's more matter than antimatter in the universe. Since its unveiling in 2004, CERN's statue of the dancing Shiva has caused quite a bit of controversy among Christians, especially in recent years. Many look at the mythology of Shiva and the Nataraya dance and question the true motives of CERN. Is the statue meant merely as a piece of art, or, as some claim, a foretelling of future destruction? The mythology behind this statue is certainly dramatic. Shiva is one of the main deities of Hinduism. He's part of the Trimurti, the Hindu Trinity. Shiva is known as the Destroyer, or the Transformer, within the Trinity. One depiction of Shiva is known as Nataraya, meaning Lord of the Dance. This is the depiction that embodies the statue at CERN. The Nataraya depiction shows Shiva as the cosmic dancer who performs a divine dance to destroy a weary universe. Shiva does this in order to make preparations for the god Brahma to start the creation process. The statue shows Shiva in the middle of a circle of flames with his left leg raised and balancing over the demonic dwarf Apasmara, who represents ignorance. Apasmara in Hindu mythology is a demon that cannot be killed. Hinduism teaches a balance between ignorance and knowledge, and to kill Apasmara would be to throw off the balance. This would mean knowledge would be attained without effort or hard work, thereby rendering it meaningless. Since Apasmara cannot be killed, Shiva uses his right foot to crush and subdue Apasmara during the Nataraya dance. It's believed that Shiva remains in the Nataraya form to forever subdue Apasmara. The statue of Shiva at Cern contains an inscription of a quote by physicist Fritjof Capra, which states, "Hundreds of years ago, Indian artists created visual images of dancing Shivas in a beautiful series of bronzes. In our time, physicists have used the most advanced technology to portray the patterns of the cosmic dance. The metaphor for the cosmic dance thus unifies ancient mythology, religious art, and modern physics." End quote. Now, shockingly, there is more to be read on the statue that claims Shiva as the most superior god of all religions. From the website of Fritjof Capra, quote, "A special plaque next to the Shiva statue at Cern explains the significance of the metaphor of Shiva's cosmic dance with several quotations from the Tao of Physics. Here is the text of the plaque. Ananda K. Swami, seeing beyond the unsurpassed rhythm, beauty, power, and grace of the Nataraya, once wrote of it, it is the clearest image of the activity of God which any art or religion can boast of." End quote. More recently, Fritjof Capra explained that modern physics has shown that the rhythm of creation and destruction is not only manifest in the turn of the seasons and in the birth and death of all living creatures, but is also the very essence of inorganic matter. And he also said that for the modern physicists, then, Shiva's dance is the dance of subatomic matter. Now, once again, it is indeed, as Capra concluded, quote, "Hundreds of years ago, Indian artists created visual images of dancing Shivas in a beautiful series of bronzes. In our time, physicists have used the most advanced technology to portray the patterns of the cosmic dance. The metaphor of the cosmic dance thus unifies ancient mythology, religious art, and modern physics." End quote. Given the mythology behind the statue and the type of scientific pioneering Cern represents, it's caused many to wonder if there's a deeper meaning. Some have even gone as far as to claim Apismara represents the church or the true God, Shiva represents Satan, the circle of flame represents a spiritual portal, and Shiva represents Satan traveling through the portal to destroy the church, subdue God, and take over the world. There are those who believe Cern and the LHC will be instrumental in this process. The graviton is possibly one of the strangest theoretical particles ever hypothesized. Gravitons have never been directly observed. However, physicists are confident in their existence due to the presence of the gravitational field. It is possible a soon discovery might take place by means of particle colliders such as the LHC at CERN. Gravitons are the particles responsible for gravity. Gravity in itself is still a mystery in many respects, but due to scientific advancements, the world may not be far off from getting the holy grail of physics, definitive proof the graviton actually exists and the means to study its properties. What makes the graviton especially interesting is its apparent ability to flow free between dimensions. Among other potential discoveries, the graviton is at the top of the LHC's to-do list. The idea is not always to look for the graviton itself, but to look for a gap where particles should be after a collision. The two particle detectors of the LHC, CMS and ATLAS, are able to show us the aftermath of a particle collision. As in any collision, debris is thrown out and distributed fairly evenly. If, however, the detector shows a gap where debris or new and exotic particles should be, that could be evidence they have escaped into a higher dimension. There's an idea that gravitons can be used as a way to communicate with beings of higher dimensions. Now, this might sound like the stuff of popular science fiction, but physicists today are seriously considering this possibility. If gravitons are discovered and used as a way to communicate with beings of higher dimensions or parallel universes, this might be what tells the world that we are not alone. While many are waiting for a type of disclosure event in which otherworldly beings present themselves in their spacecraft to humanity, we might be surprised to find these beings presenting themselves in a different way. This may begin with an established communication via gravitons. In September of 2015, for the first time ever, gravitational waves were detected. Before that time, gravity waves, gravitons, and the gravitational quantum field have been largely speculative and theoretical. Gravitons have never been directly observed. The effects of the gravitational field as seen every day, of course, when you drop a ball it falls, but without actually observing the waves, particles of gravity itself, there is a limit to what can be learned and accomplished. Now that waves of gravity have actually been detected, there's no telling what the ramifications will be. The detection was achieved by the Laser Interferometer Gravitational Wave Observatory, or LIGO. The actual waves were created by the merging of two black holes, one the mass of 29 suns and the other the mass of 36 suns. Gravity waves are so incredibly weak that it takes an extremely sensitive detector like LIGO to detect them. LIGO can measure distortions as small as 1/1000th the size of a proton. The gravity waves LIGO detected lasted only 1/5 of a second. On one hand, this discovery is incredibly exciting. After all, an aspect of God's creation has been detected. However, this could turn out to be troubling news if and when mankind decides to use this knowledge for dangerous and potentially disastrous goals. What will this discovery bring? David Reitz, executive director of LIGO, has said, quote, "What's really exciting is what comes next. I think we're opening a window on the universe, a window of gravitational wave astronomy," end quote. Kip Thorne, Caltech's Richard P. Feynman Professor of Theoretical Physics Emeritus, is also quoted as saying something nearly identical, that this discovery is opening a new window on the universe. Gravitational wave astronomy and new branches of quantum physics are interesting windows, of course, but what of some other windows that might be opened? And this brings us back to the goal of certain physicists to develop a gravitational communication system. There are steps toward that goal that must be taken, of course. First would be the confirmed discovery of gravitational waves and/or gravitons themselves. Next would be learning to repeat the detection in a lab by creating gravitons or gravity waves. They would do this by putting Einstein's general theory to the test directly and experimentally. Once that's accomplished, there will be enough information to go on to learn how to manipulate the gravitons themselves. Now, interestingly enough, this detection of gravitational waves occurred in September of 2015, but wasn't officially announced until 6 months later on February 11th, 2016. So this leads us to wonder what else has been accomplished and not yet announced. Could these discoveries spur on the opening of the abyss in Revelation chapter 9? Well, only time will tell, but by the looks of it, we're not too far off from knowing for sure. This leads us to wonder what the world might look like after interdimensional communication is established. We might have the answer in the prophetic book of Revelation. From the prophet John, Revelation 9, 1-3 states, "And the fifth angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from heaven unto the earth, and to him was given the key of the bottomless pit. And he opened the bottomless pit, and there arose a smoke out of the pit, as the smoke of a great furnace. And the sun and the air were darkened by reason of the smoke of the pit. And there came out of the smoke locusts upon the earth, and unto them was given power as the scorpions of the earth have power." The first thing to notice is that this occurs when the fifth angel sounds. The angel sounding the trumpet is likely not a fallen angel, but instead might be signaling that a fallen angel is about to come into the picture. The rest of the first verse of Revelation 9 states, "And I saw a star fall from heaven unto the earth, and to him was given the key of the bottomless pit." This is no ordinary star. According to our modern vernacular, any star that would fall on the earth would utterly destroy it. There does seem to be a connection between stars and angels, and at times the word star can actually represent an angel. We see this alluded to in Revelation 1:20, which states, "The mystery of the seven stars which thou sawest in my right hand, and the seven golden candlesticks. The seven stars are the angels of the seven churches, and the seven candlesticks which thou sawest are the seven churches." We can also see the star is a being of some sort because of the words, "Unto him was given the key." This star being referred to with the pronoun him shows that this is a person of some sort, and this is most likely referring to a fallen angel. Verse 2 tells us that the angel opened the bottomless pit with the key. The word key comes from the Greek word kleos and can be used as a metaphor for authority. In a sense, this fallen angel was given permission to open the bottomless pit. We also learn in Revelation 1:18 that Jesus Christ himself held the keys of death and hell, so most likely it was Jesus who granted this authority. Revelation 9:7-8 states, And the shapes of the locusts were like unto horses prepared unto battle. And on their heads were, as it were, crowns like gold, and their faces were as the faces of men. And they had hair as the hair of women, and their teeth were as the teeth of lions. Revelation 9:11 states, And they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, but in the Greek tongue hath his name Apollyon. As I show in the final cataclysm, the area where Cern is located today is thought to have been dedicated to this same false god in ancient times. Perhaps that dedication will manifest itself in the near future. The idea behind all of this is that it is possible the mechanism of opening the abyss, at least on the human physical side, is to open a communication system with gravitons or to breach the barrier between dimensions in order to explore what's there. And while that's happening on the physical side, on the spiritual side, God is allowing humans to do this, and an angel is permitted to open the bottomless pit. It's like God saying, all right, you want to contact extra-dimensional entities that I clearly separated you from for your own protection? You don't want my protection? Then fine. You'll get exactly what you want. Here's the false gods you keep going after. Let's see how they treat you. Well, at that point, hell is literally poured out all over the earth. Now, of course, the bottomless pit and release of the locust prophecy in Revelation 9 might not have anything to do with Cern, so I don't want to create this spirit of fear around it. Even if we as believers were here during this prophecy, and I do not believe we will be, but even if we were, the prophecy says this is only going to affect non-believers. These things are not allowed to hurt followers of God, only those who reject Him. So for us as Christians, there is nothing for us to worry about. These things are the false gods people have always rejected God for, and these people are getting exactly what they want. They are getting to commune with their gods. That's their punishment. If you belong to Jesus, this punishment is not for you. Even more, you'll get to commune with your God as well, but instead of it being a horrific, abusive experience, it'll be wonderful, beautiful, and exactly what you were created for. So if you don't know Jesus today, you should get to know Him right now. Start a relationship with Him, change your mind about Him, believe in Him, pray and ask to take part in His promised salvation after this life passes. Because one thing is for sure, you will die someday. You don't want to run the risk of running into horrible beings like this. You want to make sure you're protected and that your entrance into God's eternal kingdom is secure. Today's the day to get that taken care of. Right now, call out to Jesus, repent, and be spiritually born again in His name.